I'll introduce Steve Young, who will more formally introduce Premier Redford. But just before that, I wanted to introduce some of the special guests that we have. And I'm not sure how many of the special guests have actually shown up. It's mostly the MLA. So maybe if you could just hold any applause until we get done with the list, that'd be great. So is Christine Cusinelli here? Can you just give us a wave? No? Fred Horn? Sorry. Fred Horn? Heather Klimchuk, our Minister of Culture. Hi Heather, thanks for coming. Okay, Jeff Johnson, Minister of Education.
Jeffrey's here.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Jonathan Dennis, Minister of Justice. No? Ken Hughes. You guys are on the list. Vern Olson. Coming? He's on his way? All right. Don Scott? Hey, Donald, thank you. Kyle Fawcett? Lana DeLong? Thank you, Lana. Kathy Olson, are you here? Somewhere, maybe? Dave Quest?
Yep. I'm here.
Dave, thanks for coming. David Chow, my old buddy, where is he? All right. Donna Kennedy Glantz from Calgary. Okay. Everett McDonald.
Yeah. So Everett here, yeah.
Hi, Everett. Matt Jenneru, are you here? Peter Sandu. Hi, Peter. Sohail Quadri.
Sohail's here.
Hi, Sohail. How you doing? Okay, just before I introduce Steve Young, I just wanted to.
We got Ron Casey here too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Dave Hancock's here.
And Dave
Oh, Dave Hancock here. He's on the list. Hi, Dave. Thanks for coming.
Substitute.
And Karen Lynch. Where's Karen? Karen, thank you for organizing this for us. We really appreciate it. Okay, just before I introduce Steve, I just wanted to say a word or two about him. He's the first ever MLA from Edmonton Riverview.
Woo!
We've never had But his success in the last election just didn't happen. There was a tremendous amount of hard work by Steve and the campaign team, and I personally saw him convince people and actually win votes right on the doorstep. And after all, that's really where these things are won and lost. So Steve did a great job of that. And I think Steve has many of the same qualities that I've seen in successful people. He's practical. He's a sensible, logical way of dealing with people and with problems. He's also a good salesman. And he has the ability to cut to the heart of a problem within a sentence or two. So he's also passionate, hardworking, and above all, he's got a great sense of humor. So Steve, without further ado, come on up here and introduce the Premier. Steve, go.
Well, thank you very much. It's not lost on me that most of you are here to see the Premier, so I'll say a few things. Very few. But one thing I wanted to say, and I've been saying this a few times, that I spent a lot of summer traveling the province, and I would be in a place like Hannah, Alberta, or Pincher Creek, and people would say, "What is an MLA from Edmonton Riverview doing here?" And it was very empowering for me to say, the Premier has said we're here to govern the whole province. And we're here to understand and listen to all the issues that have faced this province. And I'm here to listen, not because of votes or because of anything, but because we're here to govern and understand the issues. And there's an obligation of every one of our MLAs to understand that issue. So I'm very proud to say that our MLAs have been out there. And we've heard that they've seen that other MLAs in constituencies, represented or not, more than they ever have. Because this is a new government, we're moving forward. Certainly we do stand on the shoulders of giants from the past years, but we are going and looking forward. So I'm going to introduce the Premier. I often say that there's only two people that I'm afraid of, my wife and the Premier. And not necessarily in that order, but ladies and gentlemen, the Premier of Alberta.
Very
very clear that you got the order right. Well, it is wonderful to be here tonight. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. I think the last time that I saw an awful lot of you was in the middle of the provincial election at campaign headquarters on 149th Street. Steve had to remind me the street because I spent those, I don't know how many days it was, riding around in a bus, which was like a little cocoon where the door would open, I'd get out, and I'd go and meet wonderful people. And you are wonderful people, and you are people that elected a progressive conservative MLA from Edmonton Riverview. And still, when I hear Steve introduced as the MLA from Edmonton Riverview, I sort of turn my head to see who else is around, and I'm sure glad it's him. But the other reason it's really important is because one of my favorite restaurants in Edmonton is Deluxe Burgers. And all of the time that I was Justice Minister, I'd go to that restaurant sometimes with Sarah because of the little shopping carts, and I think, boy, I wish I was in a conservative constituency. But what was great coming out of the April election is we have an awful lot of constituencies, and I want to thank all of you very much for your volunteer work, for your contributions, and now as constituents of Steve's and citizens of Edmonton for your patience. Because we are, as Steve said, a progressive conservative government that is going to govern the entire province. And when I talked to Peter Lougheed about that, one of the things he said to me was that coming out of our last provincial election, the electoral map looked very different to his electoral map after his first majority government. And that his advice was to make sure that we did the right thing for people across this province, whether it was in infrastructure, education, healthcare, roads, and that's what's going to make the difference to the future of this province. And I have to say, it's been almost 6 months since the election, and we're now coming back to session next week, and I've kind of been debating what my opening line is going to be, which is going to sound a little bit ironic after some of the comments about me this summer. I thought I might welcome Danielle back to Alberta. I think it's absolutely fantastic that she took 3 weeks to go and learn about our largest trading partner after standing up 2 years ago and saying that she was ready to be the Premier of the province. I don't think that's lost on anyone, because the reason that we as progressive conservatives were as successful as we were and were given the privilege of serving Albertans is because we respect Albertans. And we understand that Albertans are thoughtful, and we understand that they're compassionate, and we know that they believe and understand that there's a big, wide world out there, and that we are citizens of Alberta, we are citizens of Canada, and we are global citizens. And that the decisions that we make today are going to impact who we are 50 years from now. And that's why when we look to the future, and we think about the people that we elected in our caucus, who have a commitment and a passion and a focus on building for generations to come, building communities across this province, from north to south to east to west, that we are going to be able to continue to put in place a plan that will allow Alberta to continue to be successful, but also to be successful in different ways. And it is certainly true that as progressive conservatives, we should all be proud that we truly do follow giants. We have followed political leaders of our party that have had grand visions for our province, and sometimes have made decisions that really took a lot of public discussion. But what we're committed to as a government, what our caucus is committed to, what Steve Young as the whip of our caucus is committed to, is ensuring that we have public conversations, that we listen, and that we take the time to ensure that before we move ahead, that we're not only doing it because we believe that it's what Albertans want, but we're also doing it because Albertans believe it. So I'm looking forward to the session. I know the next time I see you, there will probably be snow on the ground. But I will tell you that as we move ahead and we think about our challenges, that the most important conversation that we can all have, not only as progressive conservatives, but as Albertans, is to think about what we want for our children our grandchildren, what we want our economy to look like, what we want communities across our province to look like, and to know that we can't shortchange ourselves. That we're committed to building families and communities, we're committed to a strong economy, we're committed to investing in infrastructure for the long term, and we're committed to environmental sustainability. And that's what makes us proud. Proud Albertans, proud Canadians, and proud progressive conservatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier Redford, for that excellent speech. The Premier's on a tight schedule. We know she's got another event to go to, but the bar's open, lots of food. Make sure you get your picture taken with the Premier. And at 7 o'clock, we have a great painting that's our draw prize from Wayne Cow, Calgary MLA, who couldn't make it tonight. So make sure you get your name and card into the hat we have out the front. So that ends the formal part of this event, so party on, everybody.